So y'all pushed out immigrant labor, and now y'all surprised nobody wants to pick blueberries for $11 an hour, 9 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week? Really? So let's get this straight. They're offering $11 an hour to work 9 to 10 hour days, 7 days a week, no days off, no benefits, and no protections. So immigrants weren't stealing American jobs. They were doing the jobs that most Americans can't or won't do. So now we got a labor shortage, and the same people who were whining about illegal immigration are now whining about food still is so expensive. Well, that's going to happen when you have a labor shortage. This is what happens when policy is led by fear instead of facts. Would you work 70 hours a week for $11 an hour to pick blueberries in a field? Let's talk about it and tag somebody who thinks that immigrant labor is a problem. We all want to talk about it.
I feel like the past 24 hours has just been a complete nightmare. 104% on imports coming from China. 104%. And that means my small business that I put everything into is fucking done. I quit my corporate job about a year and a half ago to chase my dreams. I designed and launched a kids fitness brand, and it was going great. I paid fair wages. I built relationships. And then overnight, the cost just more than doubled. My margins were gone. You know, my business doesn't pay for a yacht or a private jet. It pays for our daughter's swim classes. It covers groceries. It helps with babysitters for date nights. This isn't just numbers on a policy sheet. It's real people, real jobs, real families. And now I'm back at square one. So wish me luck.
You upset, Governor? Well, how can you not be? I've got 4 kids. 80% of their toys under their Christmas tree come from China. I've got family members living paycheck to paycheck. Many family members. My mom, who passed away years and years ago, was one of them. I mean, no rationale, no plan, no conscience to what it's doing to real people, no consideration of congressional responsibility. Where the hell is Congress? Where the hell is Speaker Johnson? Do your job. They're sitting there passively as this guy wrecks the economy in the United States of America, which has dominated the global economy. Don't take my word for it. The Wall Street Journal. We are the envy to the world. And overnight, a wrecking ball to America's reputation, our role, and our relationship. And so I'm angry as a parent, as a taxpayer, as someone who has a retirement account that didn't come from wealth, no trust funds in my family. You know, worked hard all my life. A guy who has businesses. I know I'm blind trust, and I trust you can appreciate that I won't try to cross the line on that. But as someone who's built a business that also is export dependent, some of them, industries like ag that I'm involved in, I have a unique understanding. It's not an academic understanding of the stress that folks are going through. And so it connects on every level. And so I'm angry about this.
Tariffs. Let's talk about them and how they are affecting my small business. If you guys follow me, you know that I own a series of indoor playgrounds in Massachusetts, and I am getting ready to open up a 5th location next month. I ordered playground equipment from China about 6 weeks ago. It is done and ready to ship. And today I heard from my equipment vendor that I owe an additional $980 on my playground equipment because of tariffs. So can you please explain to me how tariffs are supposed to be good for America and Americans and the US? Because I am now $980 less rich because I had to pay this tax. Is China paying that tax? No. Are Americans paying that tax? Yes. So could somebody explain this to me? Because today I'm having a hard time with tariffs.
Do you remember when Trump said this? A lot of MAGA is pissed because their retirement, poof, gone overnight. And they're saying they regretted voting for him because now they can't retire. Or if they run businesses, they're toast. Don't worry though, you can just tell them that he's playing 5D chess. They'll get all that money back, even if they're 80 years old and they need that pension to live. Hopefully we'll get those Doge checks we're promised so soon, right?
Wasn't it Republicans who were the ones who were so gung-ho about their Second Amendment rights and their don't tread on me, don't tread on my rights, my Second Amendment rights, don't tread on my constitutional rights? Where's the outrage now? Trump is violating so many constitutional rights for so many people. He's threatening the media, First Amendment right to free speech. He's taking away people's due process rights. All of these rights are things that are guaranteed by the Constitution, the same thing that guarantees the right to bear arms, which personally I'm not against. I'm all for that. That's great. I just think there should be reasonable regulations for it. Anyway, point is, Republicans for so long now have been the ones whining and complaining about the fact that they think that liberals want to take their rights away and blah, 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 and their constitutional rights, don't tread on me. And now that our constitutional rights are just being shat on, you guys have nothing to say?
Yesterday, the president made one of the dumbest decisions in history, one that will negatively impact every single American family, every single one. He's walking us into the dumbest and most avoidable recession probably in history. And let's call the Trump tariff tax for what they really are, a huge tax hike on American families. And not just any tax hike, J.P. Morgan called it, quote, the equivalent.
Hands off the VA! Hands off NIH!
Hands off NIH!
Hands off the Department of Education!
Hands off!
Hands off the CFPB, Consumer Protection. There's time to do that. Hands off our national parks. Can you think of anything worse than attacking Meals on Wheels? Hands off Meals on Wheels.
First, let's talk about tariffs. Since taking office in January 2025, Trump has rolled out aggressive tariffs policies, including 10% baseline on most imports, 145 on goods from China, and targeted tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Through some of these have been paused for now. The goal? To boost American manufacturing and trade to be fair. But for small business owners and farmers, this has been a gut punch. For all the small farmers, this has been a punch to their gut. Teddy Wenty Bra, a farmer at Dry Ridge Farm in North Carolina, she told PBS News that these tariffs are driving up cost for everything. Fertilizers, tractors, parts, even construction materials. Farmers like Wendy often do their own equipment maintenance, but with the tariff jacking up the price of imported parts, they are stuck paying more on delayed repairs. And it's not just farmers feeling the heat. There's Peter Andrews, who runs Culture Wine Company, an importer from South Africa wine, missed a tariff deadline just by 7 hours. Now he's facing higher costs, which means either he takes a hit, the farmers he works with take hit, or consumer pay more than at their store. And there's not just direct costs. Tariffs are disrupting supply chains in ways haven't seen since the pandemic. There was a Stephen Lama from American Apparel and Footwear Association said that small businesses are canceling orders from China because of the 145% tariff are just too high. Furnitures, toys, apparel, entire industry are seeing orders grind to a halt. For small business that can be pivot to new suppliers overnight, this means lots lost sales and products. Now let's talk about funding or the lack of it. So Trump is unleashing Americans' energy order. Unleashing Americans' energy order has altered many projects tied to the Inflation Reduction Act, and that has left small businesses and farmers in a lurch. There was David Funk, who runs a zero emission Northwest in Spokane, Washington, connects farmers with federal grants for equipment and energy bills. But his $65,000 invoice for work already done was rejected by the USDA because of Trump funding freeze. David had to do furlough of all three of his employees, and the farmers he worked with are losing out on critical support. So it's not just about energy programs only. The Trump administration is slashing staffs at agencies like a small business administration, 43% of their workforce, about 2,700 people. They're also cutting programs like community development, financial institutions, funds, which help small businesses in undeserving areas access to capital. The law said, as a former SBA deputy administrator, called this a man-made policy crisis. So small businesses are already dealing with higher costs from tariffs, and now they are losing their safety nets that help them survive past crises like the COVID-19. Farmers are feeling this funding squeeze too. We have all seen where many of the farmers are taken to the streets also. They are protesting. Some of them are being declared bankrupt. Some of them are losing their farms, you know. So a post on X highlighted that Trump has frozen funding for farmers that were approved under Biden, including food programs that led farmers' sales to school and food banks. That's a doable whammy. Less income for the farmers and less accessible to local produce for the communities. So let's zoom on farmers specifically, because they are getting hit from multiple angles. Trump's tariffs on Canada and Mexico, like the ones on potatoes, key fertilizer ingredients, are rising costs at a time when crop prices are already worse. There was a clip of a person actually went to the supermarket, to a grocery store. You know, he was checking the price of, I think it was banana or what. So bananas are costing up to $80, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, so it means the prices are skyrocketing. So there's a soybean farmer called Regland of Kentucky told CNBC is seen soybeans and corn future drop over 40% in the last 3 years, and tariffs are making it worse. A Purdue University survey found that the net returns for soybeans and corn dropped to 33% per acre between mid-February and early March 2025, largely due to tariffs. Largely due to what? Tariffs, guys. Anyway, it has been paused, so maybe there are things we shall get to know. So, and there's a trade war fallout. Farmers are worried about losing export markets again. So during the Trump's tariff, or during the Trump's first term in office, that's the last year. That is the period of, it was 2019, something like that. Yeah, that's 2018 to 2019, something like. So during Trump's first term, his trade war with China led to a 24% rise in farm bankruptcies. from 2018 to 2019, and this is being seen as many of the farmers are being declared are they filing for bankruptcies, you know. So this was despite a 28 billion bailout. Rural countries, some of the Trump's strongest support, saw an increase of 8% in bankruptcies after a trade war. History seems to be repeating itself, with the SDA predicting 9 to 14 billion annual drop in net farm income due to the new tariffs, you know. Also, Trump has promised aid payment like he did in his first term. 9 to 22 billion in 2019, 46 billion in 2020. But farmers like Caleb, Ragland aren't looking for handouts. They need something tangible. They want trade deals that reduce barriers, not create new one. Plus, with the USDA cutting about 6,000 jobs earlier this year. So it's unclear how they even managed to distribute aids effectively. Now some might argue that there's silver lining. So there's this Heini Kim who owns American-made apparel in Denver, who told PBS she's hoping tariffs will push more manufacturing back to the US, potentially landing her bigger accounts in the long run. And Trump's deregulation effort, like his 10-to-1 deregulation initiatives, are aimed at cutting red tapes, which could make life easier for some small businesses. But here's the catch. Uncertainty is killing the Main Street. The Economy Policy Uncertainty Index doubled from January to March 2025, hitting the highest point since the start of COVID. That's uncertain is causing small businesses to hit hiring, to delay hiring, investment and expansion, and for farmers, the long-term damage might even worsen actually, shifting global trade flow that could lead to them permanently shut out of the markets like China, which is already favoring Brazil for soybeans. So we all check that after this trade war, you know, China shifted their focus mainly to Brazil so that they can source their soybeans. Where does this leave US? It means small business owners and farmers are caught up in crossfire of Trump's policies agenda. Tariffs are driving up cost and distributing supplies chain. Funding cuts are pulling down the rug out of under critical support programs, and the uncertainty is making it hard for anyone to plan ahead. Some might see long-term benefits, but right now the pain is real, and for many it feels like it's repeating of the struggle from Trump's first term. So what do you think? Are Trump policies setting small businesses and farmers up to success, or they are bringing more harm than good? So drop your comments and don't forget, drop your comments in the comment section, and don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.